Hello everybody and welcome back to Operation Logistics, where we're still doing our adjacency connections for building hexes into other biome hexes, and we are currently working with position 10, which is over here, and we are currently in an up hex. So all we need to do, because the row goes like that, it goes completely like that. The column is straight lines, but the row kind of snakes. So in order to go down this way in an up hex, all we have to do is +1 the column. Go over to the next column. So if we are in an up hex, if column +1 equals row.count, then there's nothing to be done here. We're going off map. Otherwise, we want to increment our column and we want to connect over to position 26. So 26 and 26. There we go. And that's now correct. But what if we're in a down hex? If we're in a down hex, we need to add 1 to our column, as we did before. We are going to the right. However, we need to subtract 1 from our row. So if column +1 equals manager.maprow.count, or row -1 is less than 0, there's nothing to be done there because we're going off map. Otherwise, we grab row -1, column +1, and we connect in to 26, 26. Okay, so that should be 10 completed. And then all we need to do is 26, which should be, like it was before, the exact opposite. So we want to say if not an up hex, so if it's a down hex, like it is here, and we're going this direction, all we need to do is increment. So row -1, or hang on, column -1 is greater than 0. Or actually, if it's less than 0, then we return because we're going off map. Otherwise, we do column -1, and then we want to connect up to 10, position 10, because that's the exact opposite here. And then we add that on in. Otherwise, we are a up hex. So if we're an up hex and we're going this way, we want to subtract 1 from the column, but also add 1 to the row because we're going up. So if we are an up hex, we want to subtract 1 from the column and make sure that that is not less than 0. And we want to just 0. There we go. We want to add 1 to the row and make sure that that is not greater than, or rather equal to, manager.map.count, because we're adding to our rows. So if that's the case, then there's nothing to be done there. Column -1 equals manager.map. Hang on a moment. This needs to be is less than 0, since we're subtracting. There we go. I'm just looking for an add here. Yeah, okay. So there's nothing to be done here. We are in this guy right here, for row +1. So we want to go ahead and make sure that our column is subtracted and our row is added. And then we pass in, instead of 26, we pass in 10. Not 106, just 10. Not 2106, just 10. Okay. So theoretically, that should work. Maybe. Maybe. Okay. Let's let the loading screen run to completion and see if we get errors. If we get errors, we will attempt to track them down. If we do not, we will assume, for now, that it's working. We're not getting errors. I would have expected them already if we were going to get any. Okay, It generated in about 20 seconds, which is doable not amazing, but doable. And of course our FPS is a bit on the low side. We've got a lot of triangles and such going on here. We can work on getting some of this optimized later on, though. I'm not too concerned about any of that. This is good enough for now. So it looks maybe like the adjacency is working. Maybe. So, what is next then? Well, we have a couple of things on the list here. The list indicates that we need to implement packages, implement routes, and overhaul the worldview so that we can see where our stuff is. We can see if we've got something somewhere. Because as it is right now, if I start this back up again, I'm not going to go ahead and let it load the whole way. But if we come in here and we say we go into this hex, and then we go into a biome hex, and then we go into a building hex, and we buy that hex, and we build a building, and then we come back out, and we're just like, hello! What hex were we just in? You can't tell, can you? Neither can I. That's the problem. I mean, I could tell by going back in the video and checking to see how far away we were from a certain landmark, like, we're 4 over here and 2 up. But, I mean, realistically, that's not a very good method of doing things. So that's not going to be what we're going to do. Now, I am noticing that this guy is active, but that's because we're still loading. It's expected that he's active, actually. So, the question is, what do we go about implementing right now? Packages and routes, or overhauling the worldview so that we can see where our stuff is? The question is, how do we go about doing that latter point? That's a major design question, because you think about it, each of these world hexes can have 73 biome hexes in them, and they do. So you can have 73 in a world hex, and then each building hex within those numbers 73. So you can theoretically have, if you purchase every single structure within those, because you can currently purchase roads, and I'm not sure if I'll be changing that. Probably will be. But as of right now, you can purchase roads. So hypothetically, you can purchase up to 5,329 structures inside of a single building hex, or a single world hex, rather. That's a lot. And how do you indicate to the player, when they're looking at the overview, where their structures are? Where their hubs are? Where their... Because, realistically, you can have dozens of hubs in the same world hex. How do you indicate to the player that that's there? Do you have just a marker that pops up when you have a structure in the hex? Well, that's going to get really cluttered later in the game when you have structures in virtually every hex. I don't know. It's a bit of a conundrum. Maybe we change the color of the hex based on how many structures you have in there, or... I don't know. That's something I think I'm going to have to take some time and really think about, because that's a bit of a complicated question, right? And I really don't know how I'm going to go about doing that. So I think for right now, we're just going to leave it where it's at in terms of the worldview. And I think implementing packages and routes is going to be the important thing. Now, that also is going to have some world hex implications, right? Because you're out here, You go into here, you're just like, hello, everybody, and they're like, hi, I've got a package for you, and it pops up right here, and it's just like, it's a package. I want you to mail it for me, and you're just like, okay, we'll come out and collect it, and take it and sort it, and send it to where it goes, but that's all well and good in here. What if you're here? There's a package available here, and it's super lucrative. Maybe it only pops up in places where you have a presence and can reasonably be expected to pick it up. That is to say, if you have a postal office here, maybe only these structures here would go about... Huh. Why is this popping up as none? These tooltips aren't populating. Why aren't these tooltips populating? Let's check. Farmhouse. Hex number 0. Unknown. Field. That's not a field at all. That is in fact a barn. Road corner. That's not a corner. Road corner sharp. That is a road corner sharp. Those are fields there, but that's not a road. This is in the wrong hex, I have to assume. Now, I think we changed something about tooltip object. Yeah. We did this. And I'm going to go ahead and take that back. And we're going to try rerunning this and seeing what exactly this ends up doing. I mean... is it something to do with the building hex? Not properly updating tooltips? Or is it a problem deeper? Because that is a big issue, that is thinking that it's the wrong type of thing. It's not just the tooltip, which makes me think that it is a deeper problem. Okay, so let's find out. I mean, I expect this to be absolutely no different, but the first hex that I look at, I'm going to check to see if it's right, and the second hex, I'm going to check to see if it's the same as the first hex. So, like, if the hex selection isn't updating for whatever reason. Or if we're instead getting the wrong world hex. Okay, so, this center point here. That's a storefront. That's a mall. Road corner. Road, road, road. This all appears to be correct. The center one is a storefront. Then we'll pop over here. Factory. Brewery. Hex manager.selected. Hex is out of range, though. Oh, hello. Yeah, lots of out of range exceptions. Specifically in the hex selection window, line 20. So what did we break? Hex selection window, line 20. Get world hex by index. Well, we technically don't need all of these. We can do return get, or rather return manager.get building hex by index, and then we can pass in business.selected hex. because we've implemented that since we wrote this. Cannot implicitly convert type building hex to building. Right. Right. That is accurate. So let's go ahead and do public building get building by index. Not building hex, just building. And this is going to be int3 indices. And then we are going to be returning the hex store. So we want to get the... Where is it? It's this one right here. We want to return get hex store by index indices dot world hex indices dot biome hex dot buildings indices dot building hex. Okay. So instead of building hex by index, get building by index. There we go. Else if business.original transfer hex is not equal to int3.null, then we are passing in the original transfer hex. It's getting world hex by index dot biome hexes dot buildings. Okay, so we can just do get building by index here as well. We can pass in business.original transfer hex, which is just an int3. Otherwise, we return null. So let's go ahead and go to our building hex and make sure that when we click on it, we set business.onHex selection hex ID. Okay, argument is out of range for what exactly? Hex selection window, line 20. I mean, we completely redid how we're doing this. Let's go ahead and rerun this and see if it's still causing this error. Unity isn't responding? Okay, there we go. Now Unity is responding. I guess it just had to recompile. So let's go ahead and check this out, see if this is working. Let this generate on up. Okay, come on. You can do it. I just want to know if this is working. Okay, skip that. Come on in. And argument out of range exception. So hex manager dot selected hex. So let's go ahead and check our hex manager here and check our selected hex. We've got our selected subhex here, set to map hex. And then I don't think our int3 is showing up here. However, if this is causing an error at line 20, which it is, hex manager line 125. Yeah, this is returning null. Which is interesting. Well, I'm going to go ahead and put a cut in here, and next episode we're going to see if we can track down what's going on here. See you all then.